Even in this age of what was supposed to be the paperless office, they were always talking about that in the 80s. By the 21st century, it'll be paperless office. It's not necessarily the case. And even though a lot of documentation and things like that, there are electronic signatures and things, there are still paper trails that need to happen. Or in the case of older information that maybe you have copied to some sort of digital realm or put in the cloud, it's still sitting there in paper form, which can cause a security issue for you, especially in your business with sensitive information about clientele and everything else. So how do you get rid of it, especially if you've got a lot of it? Well, there is a service here in town. It's been here for quite some time. They're quite good at what they do, confidential data destruction. And here to talk about it is Steve Sturgeon. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, George.
And this is something, because we for like, some people have their little shredders they get at the office supply store, and it might be a thing if you just want to do some little statements or bills or something. But even if you're as a small business, starting a paper trail, things like that, people give you credit card information. They might give it to you over the phone. You're writing it down or putting it somewhere that's not necessarily on a disk. You also have things like ID cards and stuff like that. You want to make sure if an employee has been terminated, you want to make sure that not something's lying around in case somebody else wants to do something nefarious with it. Things like that. Tell me a little bit, though, about confidential data destruction, because it's not just the paper shredder. You guys do all kinds of getting rid of all kinds of different data, correct?
We get rid of everything from electronic media, hard drives, floppy disks, zip drives, and the like, laptop computers, anything that has data stored on it.
And that is really important, because even if you think you've erased your disk and put it somewhere, people can still get that information.
Absolutely.
And so tell me a little bit, how long has confidential data destruction been around?
Here in town, it's been the paper destruction has been around for about 8 years. We're in our 9th year now. And the electronic destruction we've been doing since about 1995.
Wow. So, and finding that as a source, especially with the electronic destruction. Tell me a little bit about what can happen, though, if people don't destroy their stuff. I mean, obviously, especially electronic data and things like that, as a security liability, even as a small business, you need to kind of keep an eye out for that, correct?
Well, small business and individuals, identity theft right now is the largest increasing numbers of crime incidents across the nation, potentially across the world. So stolen identities in terms of your checkbooks, your social security numbers, your credit card numbers, and the like, is something that hackers and thieves will look to obtain. And interestingly enough, they'll obtain it from things that you throw away.
Exactly. So again, not just necessarily they're going to hack your database. They can easily pick through garbage and things like that and put it together.
One thing that many people don't know is that your trash can is public property. So when you put it in a trash can, anybody can pilfer through it, whether that's at your home or at your office in the back.
Well, that's true. And, don't forget that while some offices do have locking trash cans, not all of them do. So if you're dumping it out there, and especially confidential client information, and we're going to get more into that down the road, but that's something that you got to consider. So what's the best way? I have, boxes and boxes of check stubs and tax returns from between 1982 and 2005 that I want to get rid of. What's the best way to do it? Do we bring it to your office, or do you come out to us?
Well, if it's anything over 10 boxes, we use 10 boxes as kind of a gauge. If it's more than 10 boxes and you're here in town, Santa Clarita Valley, it'd be better if we come out to you. Then you're not transporting it, and we're not handling it a couple of times as well. Otherwise, we will actually bring a mobile shredding vehicle to your home or office and destroy it right there.
And I've seen the mobile shredding vehicle, and it's something that actually you can see what's going on while the data is being destroyed, correct?
Yes, there's a TV camera on the external side, and it's showing you everything that's happening on the inside.
And that's true, because, there are places in town that you can bring it to, and yet they might be leaving it, especially if it's a public center, such as a mailbox place or something like that. Until they get to it, that stuff's sitting out there. Until then, you never know what could happen to it.
Well, in fact, many mail centers have services like ourselves. So we'll have one of our containers there. They'll actually secure it in a locked container. Or if it's boxes of material, they're supposed to put it in a secured room until we arrive to shred the material.
And that's important to understand. So if you are doing something like that, make sure you find out what's going to happen to that stuff as you walk out the door. And again, especially if it's a public place where people are coming in and out. So that is fascinating. What is the best way to get in touch with confidential data destruction?
Our local number here is 661-257-9970. We're in the Rye Canyon Industrial Park on Avenue Stanford, just north of Rye Canyon and the 5 freeway.
And you also participate in green waste events and things like that that go on in town. I know I've seen you out and about too.
Yeah, we work with the city of Santa Clarita and the local sheriff's department, and we put on a safe shred event twice a year.
Outstanding. Steve Sturgeon, Confidential Data Destruction. Thank you so much for stopping by.